Now, Massoglia joins us now to discuss. She is the editorial and investigations manager with our partners at Open Secrets. Anna, I want to start first with the amount of money that's been raised this cycle. Will this be, in your experience, and at least from what you've seen, the most expensive presidential race ever? How much money are you expecting to see in this race once it's all said and done?
It's hard to say at this point in the cycle whether or not it'll break a new record. Overall, especially adjusting for inflation. This year, we didn't see as much of a contentious primary as we have in some prior years, but certainly we are seeing billions of dollars pouring into the election overall. Just last cycle, we saw more than $14 billion, and that was just a midterm election. So we're really tracking large amounts of money going into campaigns as well as other types of political committees.
Yeah, it's been well documented, too, that Trump is spending a lot of his money on legal bills. And a quick reminder here, what can you and what can you not spend money on?
Well, it depends on the type of committee. When you have campaigns, you are technically supposed to be spending in support of your election, but there's a wide range of things that candidates can do while they're running for office, whether that be paying for events, for travel, paying staffers. One of the most common expenses, of course, is paying for political ads, but you also have many candidates paying for compliance fees, even legal fees in some cases. This cycle, we've seen a number of candidates who are facing indictments and other legal issues, paying their lawyers through campaigns or other political committees. Once you have other types of committees, PACs, leadership PACs, they're even more flexible with what they're able to spend on and can spend on everything from, with leadership, in the case of leadership PACs, lavish dinners to tickets to baseball games and a wide range of other things, basically effectively operating as slush funds. But candidates who are operating campaigns are a little bit more tied to certain specific purposes.
Right. I'm curious, what are the biggest expenses for campaigns? Have these kind of changed this cycle? Is it more digital ads versus TV ads? What are you seeing?
Well, just looking at the Federal Election Commission data, we don't necessarily get a breakdown of TV versus digital ads, but we do know that media overall is the biggest expense this cycle, accounting for about a quarter of all expenditures through our last tally. That's pretty typical for election cycles where political ads are very expensive and are one of the biggest costs of the election cycle. As digital ads become more popular, we're certainly seeing more money being poured into those digital ads, but and one thing that counters that is that digital ads tend to be cheaper than television ads. And so even though we're seeing more digital ads being run and more than ever, more money pouring into them, TV ads, even for less ads and less airtime, may still be spending more just due to the expense and cost of the television ads.
Yeah, I want to touch on a point you made earlier. I mean, given that this was kind of a more condensed primary, you know, in some ways, I think for voters, it was somewhat of an inevitability that it'd be Trump versus Biden, or even if it was one that they didn't really want. That being said, I mean, are we expecting to then see more money spent in the general election? I mean, theoretically, there are all these coffers that exist that weren't spent on, you know, a high-priced primary battle for Trump or for Biden. I mean, does that basically mean that this is going to be an expensive general election, or is it too soon to say?
We're certainly not at the end of spending for the election cycle. We've already seen Trump and Biden going at each other just in terms of the debates. And certainly the spending on political ads is not going to stop anytime soon. When you look at just what they have in their campaign coffers, Biden has amassed a pretty substantial war chest, whereas Trump has struggled with burning more cash than he has brought in many of the most recent months. Much of that money going to legal fees as he faces unprecedented legal challenges for a candidate running for federal office, or at least for the presidency. And so it's hard to say what that will look like, but as more money continues to pour into campaigns, we're likely to see more spending on ads, staffing, and other costs, events. But we're also likely to see more spending going into outside groups as well that are supporting those campaigns, such as super PACs, which can raise and spend unlimited sums, which really opens the door for even larger donors to pour money into elections.
Now, just briefly here, the dropout factor. How big a factor is someone like Nikki Haley right now? According to the FEC, she's got $7 million cash on hand. We've seen outgoing or former members of Congress with already multi-million-dollar war chests that theoretically they're not spending on their campaigns anymore. Do those functionally make a big difference?
Well, it depends on how they are used. So when you have a campaign that is no longer active, the candidate or former candidate at that point has a number of different options. They could create a political action committee with it. They can refund the money to donors. They could donate to a charity or nonprofit. They can't use it for personal use, but there's a wide range of different activities and causes they can put it towards. In particular, one of the common ones is having political action committees where they can then give to other candidates or spend in support of other candidates. But one thing to note is that in many cases, campaigns don't end right after someone drops out. In many cases, they may be what are commonly termed zombie campaigns, where they may continue spending long after someone has dropped out of the race and even after the election is over, paying off debts, paying back donors, accounting for different types of administrative costs. And so it's hard to say how quickly that will turn around and turn into political action committees or other types of political action, or whether these campaigns are going to sit for a while.
I love that term, zombie campaigns. Anna Massoglia with Open Secrets. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.